The Seattle Supersonics. I know they don't exist anymore, but they actually do exist as the Oklahoma City Thunder. And yes, there was a what if for the Oklahoma City Thunder that I could have done, but because they're in the spirit of the Seattle Supersonics, I decided to cancel that one out, even though that it could have been massive. So anyway, the Seattle Supersonics were born in 1968 as an expansion team and bringing basketball to the Pacific Northwest. That at times sponsored quite gratefully the college basketball programs of Washington, Washington State, Oregon, and Oregon State, if you will. So the Pacific Northwest got themselves a team. And the Seattle Supersonics did very well. They even had Lenny Wilkens, who was a very good point guard. A few key players rose above the line too. But Seattle's big break came in 1978 when the Supersonics were born. The Supersonics practically were fantastic. They made a few great playoff runs, and in 1979 it was 78 it was all rewarded as they took home no sorry 79 when they took home the NBA title from the Washington Bullets. Washington had a 3-1 series lead and choked it. So Seattle did very well with their 3-1 series deficit coming into a 3-1 series win. So Seattle looked good. And they had some great players like Jack Sigma, Gus Williams, and a few other players who came and went. Seattle would have a tough time in the 1980s, not really getting a lot of playoff expertise. But however, they came back into it in 1992 when they basically had a dream team. They got Sean Kemp, they got Gary Payton through drafts, they got a few other key players like Hersey Hawkins. But anyway, and Kendall Gill. But Seattle had the spark, but the spark was taken out by the Portland Trailblazers in the Western Conference Finals. In '94, Seattle rose above things with a 60-win season. They felt so dominating that people were saying Seattle was going to get the '94 title. Of course, this is the year that Michael Jordan left for baseball, and the Bulls were nowhere near as good as they used to be. So anyway, the Chicago Bulls, notwithstanding, Seattle thought they were going to do well, and they took on a team that narrowly got above 500, 42-40, and were the youngest team in the NBA, the '94 Denver Nuggets. So anyway, the Denver Nuggets, with Coach Dan Izzo, went in with nothing to lose, except for the first two games of the series. So Seattle had a 2-0 series lead. Now remember, this was best of 5 back in the first round days before 2003. So the Supersonics felt confident going into Mile High City and playing the Nuggets, but Denver was very much protecting their home turf, led by Robert Pack, Dikembe Mutombo, and Mohammed Abdul Rauf. The Nuggets proved to be fantastic, and they won games 3 and 4. So they forced a game 5 in Seattle. Seattle didn't take things lightly, but however, the Nuggets pressed them hard in game 5. Seattle had to take a last-second shot to tie the game and send it to overtime. Unfortunately, overtime was not Seattle's friend, as they looked good, but Denver provided their offense, and Mutombo embracing the ball at the end of the game was a watershed moment for the NBA, and the first time an 8 seed beat a 1 seed in the NBA playoffs ever. It was amazing to see the Denver why do I keep on saying that? The Denver Nuggets become beat the so-called champions, if you will. Denver, of course, went on to get their butts handed to them by Utah in the second round of the playoffs, but they did it. They proved that Cinderellas do exist. Seattle would actually recover from this, not in '95, but in '96, when they went all the way through and got to the NBA titles spot. Unfortunately, though, Chicago had the returning Michael Jordan, and give Seattle a lot of credit against the '96 Bulls team that won 72 games in the regular season. They didn't wilter. They didn't wilt. They did win 2 games to tie the series against the Bulls. But unfortunately, Game 6 in Chicago, you knew Michael Jordan was going to win it in front of his hometown crowd. And on Father's Day, no less. Because if you know the story about Michael Jordan's father, it's huge. So anyway, in 96 Seattle. But Seattle had a little bit highs and lows. They tried their best. They got Vin Baker and Ray Allen at times. And they looked decent in the 2000s, even with Vladdy Radmanovic. Unfortunately for Seattle, money was a problem, and fan apathy was also a problem with them. Seattle actually did take the second overall pick in 2007, which was Kevin Durant. He was going to be a supersonic. But grumblings about Seattle's basketball future were ahead. We're at a loggerheads. The owners didn't think Seattle deserved a basketball team. And unfortunately for the Sonics, that was true. One more year in Seattle, and then they decided to jettison to Oklahoma City, who actually one time had the Hornets franchise because of what happened to Hurricane Katrina. But anyway, it was not good. Seattle lost its team and lost the stranglehold on fan bases in the Pacific Northwest. Pacific Northwest fans will have to go with Portland as a regional favorite because, Vancouver got dumped off years ago. So anyway, the Seattle Supersonics became the Oklahoma City Thunder. Oklahoma City did decent for a few years. Heck, they even got to the 2013 title. I like to say 2013 or 14. I don't remember which one it was. But they got to the title game against the Miami Heat. But unfortunately, with Miami's big three of LeBron, Wade, and CB4, they crushed Oklahoma City into fine powder. And the Thunder could not believe their luck. They couldn't win the big one. 2016 was a watershed moment. They had a chance to knock the Golden State Warriors off their perch and possibly get to the 2016 NBA Finals. They had a 3-1 series lead on the Warriors, who won 73 games that year in the regular season, but they couldn't hold it up, and Golden State's playoff presence helped them as the Golden State Warriors won the game by a score of I don't know what this final score in Game 7 was, but the Thunder felt robbed and all that. You gotta believe that this is just pure rubbish about the 2016 team. But it's one per franchise, so logically you can't figure that out. Although, you could do it. No, that can't be right. I know that the Hornets were New Orleans, Oklahoma City, but that's not the continuation of things. So anyway, we're going to be doing the 1994 Seattle Supersonics as the what if. So Seattle, so in the NBA, they don't reseed after the first round, kind of unlike what the NHL does. So here's what's going to happen with the Seattle Supersonics. They face the winner of the 4-5 matchup. That was the Utah Jazz. Houston, who won the 94 NBA title, will be waiting for whoever wins between Seattle and Utah, obviously. So anyway, if Seattle falters, then Houston obviously wins the title. But if Seattle can beat Utah and then beat Houston, then we go into the NBA titles against the New York Knicks. As usual, when I do one conference, the other conference doesn't get touched. And so that's what I'm going to do. The Knicks will be in the finals waiting for whoever it is. So, it's the Jazz, it's the Sonics in 1994. Huh. Got yourself some nice players. Tyrone Corbin? Dalton Spencer? Okay. Ofa. Game 1 saw overtime and the Sonics win, even though they blew a 9-point lead in the fourth quarter. Oh, Karl Malone wasn't even a starter. That's weird. I guess I'll have to change that. So anyway, Stockton, 41. Malone, 22 points in 39 minutes. Karl Malone, 16 points in 34. Chambers, 17 in 30. I don't know why Karl Malone was not even a starter. But anyway, Byron Russell, David Benwell, Walter Bond, John Crotty, Jay Humphries with those starters. The Sonics, 20 points from Sam Perkins. Sean Kemp had 14 points. I thought he was a starter. 30 minutes. Guess not. Michael Cage, 13 and 28. Sam Perkins was named player of the game. Fizz Askew, Ricky Pierce, Nate McMillan. Oh man, he was in Seattle for a long time. And Irvin Johnson. Yeah, I bumped into Irvin Johnson for 2001 with the Bucks in the previous What If. Yeah, Tyrone Corbin. It should be Karl Malone. Yeah, it should be Karl Malone. And then Peyton Gill, Shemp Perkins. Sam Perkins is a veteran. And I don't think Sean Kemp could play center. So it's going to take a gamble on him. Game 2 saw another overtime thriller. And Utah again came back from 9 points down to force overtime. But anyway, Malone did his job, 22 points in 35 minutes. Stockton and Jeff Malone with 19 points each. Luther Wright came in. The Sonics, well, yeah, Sean Kemp couldn't really get much minutes because of Sam Perkins. 23 points from Gary Payton. They had 7 players with double digits. Kemp and Pierce didn't start, but they got double digits. So they're halfway home against the Utah Jazz. Halfway home, baby. But the Sonics don't blow a lead this time. They crushed the Utah Jazz in the third quarter. 24 points from Sam Perkins, 17 from Sean Kemp in 32 minutes, 14 from Gary Payton. You see people like Steve Scheffler, Chris King, Rich King, and Alfonso Ford come in. Alfonso Ford, didn't he play for Mississippi Valley State or something like that? Anyway, the Jazz, 21 from Karl Malone, a couple of double digits guys. Jeff Hornacek, Darren Morningstar, Corbin, Chad Gallagher, Dave Jaderson, Aaron Williams, Stephen Howard. Darren Morningstar. That's a weird name for a guy. So anyway, Seattle looks good. They're going to sweep the Jazz, maybe. Nope, I was wrong. 106-104, Jazz won. So as you can see here, let's go to the final minute. It was 104-102. Sam Perkins made it. That Tom Chambers scored on the floater, and then Demlo Shrimp had a chance to tie it. No. He missed. 106-104, Jazz survived. 17 points from Ricky Pierce in 18 minutes. It's amazing. He tied with Gill and Perkins for the most by one player. Michael Cage only got 3 points in 24 minutes. Karl Malone was the hero. 25 points for him, 25 for Jeff Malone. Felton Spencer with 17. Chambers and Stockton with double digits too. But in the end, the Jazz did win. We got ourselves a Game 5. And in Game 5, the Sonics easily won at home. So they're facing the Rockets. 33 from Karl, 24 from Stockton. But everyone else just stunk. Brian Russell had no points in 15 minutes. Seattle had a pair of 20-pointers, Gill and Perkins. Pierce, 15 points off the bench. Sean Kemp only had 8. That's amazing. But I mean, Seattle had some young guys. So the Jazz will be eliminated. We now go to the Houston Rockets. Come on, guys. The 94 Rockets. Smith, Maxwell, Horry, Thorpe, Olajuwon. Houston did pretty good, but Seattle's 63 wins was huge. 112-100 Sonics over the Rockets in Game 1, especially that fourth quarter. 14 from Olajuwon and Maxwell. You got Thorpe, Horry, Smith, Scott Brooks, Carl Herrera, Sam Cassell, Petruska, Eric Riley, Chris Gent, Larry Robinson, Matt Bullard, Earl Carlton. Robinson, that's funny. So the Sonics used their fourth liners. Chris King got 4 points in 2 minutes. 21 from Sean Kemp and Kendall Gill, 17. Askew, 2 points in 18 minutes. At 1-0, we get our next matchup, and that would be the Rockets in Game 2. But the Sox come up with a 96-93 win. Olajuwon, 28 points in 41 minutes. Otis Thorpe, 23 points. Kenny Smith, 11 points. Carl Herrera. The Sonics, 18 from Kendall Gill. Askew and Pierce did pretty well, 14 points off the bench themselves. So Seattle is like halfway home. And the third game was not much. After that first quarter, Seattle really did their jobs. 19 from Payton, 18 from Gill, 15 from Ricky Pierce. So anyway, Irvin Johnson, 19 from Hakeem Olajuwon, Petruska and Riley playing some minutes. Anyway, Carl Herrera, 15 minutes without a point. 18 from Kenny Smith. So Seattle looks like they're going to be rocking and rolling to game 4. But again, they lose in game 4. No sweep there. 31 from Payton, 19 from Shemp. Pierce with 10. Houston, 32 from Hakeem the Dream, 15 from Robert Ory, 14 from Otis Thorpe. Nicely done. Game 5 sees the Sonics win 112-110. It was 107-105. Olajuwon missed a point. Michael Cage made it 109-105. Olajuwon missed a chance, and it looks like the Sonics were going to get it. After a couple of intentional fouls, Perkins makes one of 2 free throws, but Olajuwon made it 110-107. They fouled Kendall Gill, who makes the 2 free throws. Olajuwon does make a 3-pointer, but on the wings of an eagle or something like that. So anyway, he got the points for 20 points in 41 minutes. Otis Thorpe 27 and 36. Kenny Smith 14 and 26. Gary Payton 19 points. Nate McMillan 11. Great job. But the Sonics are going to the NBA Finals against the New York Knicks. Funny how, they look like they can sweep, but they don't sweep their opponents. Yeah, Doug Rivers. Doug Rivers? That doesn't. It should be Harper and it should be Doc Rivers. Starks, Charles Smith, yeah, Charles Oakley, Patrick Ewing. Yeah. Sorry, I like to set the depth charts just right. Seattle and New York fighting it out tooth and nail. Game 1 sees the Sonics easily win 115-103. 21 from Patrick Ewing. Oakley, Starks, Charles Smith, Derek Harper, Doug Rivers, Rolando Blackman, famous Dallas boy, Tony Campbell, Herb Williams, Anthony Mason. Oh, Anthony Mason could have been so much better. 28 from Kemp in 36 minutes. 20 from Payton, 21 from Gill. Beautiful job by the Sonics. Game 2 sees the Sonics win again, only by 4. The Knicks almost do it again. 22 from Patrick Ewing, 19 from Starks. See all these guys, Tony Campbell, Anthony Bonner, Hubert Davis, Corey Gaines, Eric Anderson, Gerald Patio with 1 minute of play. Hubert Davis scored 6 points in 1 minute, and they didn't let him play the rest of the game. Of course, the Sonics used their bench mob and didn't get any points. 23 from Sam Perkins, 14 from Kemp. So, yeah, halfway home for the Seattle Supersonics. See how good they can be? Game 3, back at the Mecca, Madison Square Garden, saw the Knicks win 96-89. 16 from Demploff, 14 from Sean Kemp. Great job there. But in the end, it was 21 from Patrick Ewing. That saved the team. Herbert Williams, Greg Anthony. 2-1 series. At 2-1, the Knicks won again at home, crushing Seattle in the 4th quarter. Seattle seems to have road rules, if you ask me. 18 from Kemp, 12 from Payton. They didn't really have much to offer. 6 Knicks went in double digits for the win. And remember, this is a 2-3-2 NBA format. So game 5 back at the Mecca. And it took overtime, and the Knicks forced overtime before the Sonics won the overtime period. So the Sonics now have a 3-2 series lead. 19 points from Sean Kemp in 26 minutes. Great job. Sam Perkins 18, Ken McGill 17. A lot of people. Chris King even played some minutes. The Knicks Well, Patrick Ewing fouled out. He had 6 personal fouls, 27 minutes, 16 points. John Starks 18, Oakley 12. They played 40 plus minutes. Tony Campbell played 15 minutes and he scored 14 points. Why the heck didn't he just play all this time? Good old Tony Campbell. I think he came from NC State. I don't remember. Oh, he played a lot. Yeah, they don't say what university he's from. Okay then. So Sonics go home with a chance to win the series. And is they. Wow, look at that. It was 38-19 in the fourth quarter for the Knicks, but they still lost by 12. So the Seattle Supersonics do get their happy ever after. Not like the Raptors, but man, can you believe it? Well, I mean, after all, the Sonics did outscore the Knicks in the 3 quarters by, I guess, 31 points or something like that. Man. So Patrick Ewing, 18 points in 37 minutes. Charles Smith, 12 points in 26 minutes. Campbell, 11 points in 15 minutes. But it was basically the fact that not a lot of players could score points, and they had to use their bench. The Sonics did too. Scheffler, King, and Ford. Only 2 points combined. 26 from Gary Payton, 14 from Chubb Kemp. Sam Perkins at 10. But yeah, great job by Gary Payton. I mean, I guess he should be the MVP. The NBA Finals MVP. I would agree with that. So that's it. Seattle has won the 94 title. See what happens if a first round upset doesn't happen. The Sonics would have been probably one of the best teams around in the 90s without Michael Jordan to hassle them.